Oh,
Game. He can hear it.
We're gonna go ahead and take over, Vince.
Okay, let's get our
I feel like we've had enough whatever's going on over there. Poor guy. Poor Kyle. he's having a rough one. He's having a real humdinger.
Baptism by fire in Counter-Strike. You know, you have to start off with a long day. But CR4ZY instantly threw on Nuke on T side, gonna get the bomb plant down, and Psycho making a real nuisance of himself, stuck in the ramp, pretty much back to the wall, tried to deliver as many fatal blows as possible, and he did get the one. But Mo with 2 already perched up, looking good for more. Our Syman Gaming and another pistol round will go their way in what could be the final map of today's proceedings and the final map of CR4ZY's tournament.
Yeah, I mean, they were talking about this on the panel a lot, and it was something that I wanted to just reinforce, is that Syman's nuke record is really, really grim. I think they're 1-6 with their Core 4 online in 2020. They have really not shown a whole lot on this map. With CR4ZY, they've only played it a couple of times. They've won it both those times, but against kind of like really small teams like Big Academy, for example. So there's not enough data out there to really know how confident they are in a map like this, but I can certainly understand picking it against Syman. If they do have any comfort at all, they should have an advantage.
Mo, spicy headshot and plenty of damage down onto DemQQ and Toxic, who are trying to drop down from Silo. Deagle going to trade hands. DemQQ also has the taser, the Zeus, and we did see him use it earlier on. I think it was on train. We actually got a couple of kills with it. Much to your delight.
Was it Zeus for frags?
Yeah, he got a Zeus. We ticked it off on the bingo list. I think it was DemQQ that picked.
Again, the only thing we haven't had yet is a 16-0.
True. That's still on the table. It's still possible.
I really can't think of anything else that we haven't seen. Maybe like a 1v5. Hadn't seen that. We've had an ace clutch though, so I mean we've gotten close to that. We haven't seen a triple collateral, but we have seen a normal collateral. 2 for 1. So, I mean, there's a couple of things still out there, maybe, to hope for.
Well, CR4ZY will be making sure that at least a 16-0 doesn't happen today. And that's a pretty good way of starting things off. Does get countered straight away from Mo's M4, who's already off to a 5-0 lead in terms of the kills. Actually, pardon me, Neelan's also in 5-0, but he does have an assist over Neelan and is now backing away with the AK-47, so he's got his upgrade. He's looking for Kios on the flank with a FAMAS perched up on Silo. This is going to take the attention away from Neelan and Mo, who have now moved outside and systematically shutting CR4ZY down with a vengeance. 3-0 start and only 1 loss. They've traded up to 4 AK-47s, the absolute perfect start.
Yes. That is exactly what you want if you're Syman. You want all the rifles, all the one-tap potential, and all the beautiful utility. Every single grenade. Plenty of kits. Maybe a cold drink. A frosty beverage.
Nothing frosty about that Molotov into the secret push or the squeaky push. Plus wallbang through the vents. Sergiz also has been smoked off. Psycho still occupying the vents with a measly 16 HP. Does have the bomb though. So the possibility of a potential B plant were on the cards, but Neelan's now moved in to safeguard this from being the case. It's really hard to see where CR4ZY's options come in. I mean, they have lobby. That's pretty much about it, honestly. Psycho's still downstairs, still hoping that someone's going to overextend and give him a kill. But when you are almost full AK-47s, you want to hold on to these for dear life if you're Syman Gaming.
Oh, yes. Don't want to be losing any rifles over, but one has already fallen. And perhaps more along with it, as Sergey's also pitched in. The bomb even's going to get planted. M4 over to Sergey. AK going to get picked up here by Psycho, as well as a Molotov, which could hold off one of these choke points. So maybe make things a little bit interesting depending on timing as Sergey catches another, and so does Psycho. What's happening here, Vince?
I don't have an answer for you, but they're actually going to win the round. How is that even possible? Psycho down in vents. It was a 3 versus 5. I'd already written this round off in my mind. And they've
of course. Yeah. I bet you the tech pauses because someone ripped their headset out screaming in jubilation that they just won that round.
Yeah, apparently lost, but someone's definitely just toppled their tower.
Yeah,
having violently jumped up and screamed, giving themselves a real chance.
Absolutely. That's craziness, man. No pun intended to the team name. But like you said, I had already written that off. I was just kind of describing how they were doing a little bit of economic damage and collecting a couple of rifles. But I mean, I really had no thought at all that they would actually win that. But somehow, some way, Syman let that one slip through their fingers. Tough loss to take.
And I'm watching that back. That was a 3v5. Psycho had 16 HP. Almost full HP on everyone, Syman. There was no weaknesses, but it was Psycho down in control room that kicked it off with a simultaneous ramp push. That is an unforgivable round if you're Syman Gaming. We take nothing away from Crazy. To win it takes a lot of skill and obviously solid aim, but man, Syman choked that round hard. And now they have a bit of time to think it over. They're not going to be able to get a buy, so are Crazy. Obviously, getting some consistency is going to be important, but that's a big boost and boon to their economy. They have 3 players now that can afford next round, regardless what happens here. I mean, that was Syman's golden ticket to a really electric start on their CT side, and it can still go that direction, of course, but this is definitely going to throw a wrench in the work.
Oh, for certain. It opens up that doorway for Crazy to, early on, give a lot of problems to Syman. The thing is, though, can they really count on individual efforts like that? I mean, there's still 3 players on Crazy who have yet to get a frag, and I suspect that won't last very long, especially considering how well DimQQ and Sensei have played throughout the tournament and just throughout this team's very brief history. I just hope that they would eventually get online here soon. But, yeah. I definitely don't suspect that they'll be getting many more crazy clutches like that. You wouldn't imagine. I think Syman should be, tightening up, being a little bit more disciplined. I'm sure something like that will rattle you a bit and kind of get you back focused up and realize, hey, we need to, be on the same page. Don't let things like that happen again.
Molotov is good onto Norbert, but forces him out into the open where he will take the trade against CSGO and comes out ahead again. A player that Pimp was highlighting to have to be one of the leading chargers on the team with another huge performance, and so far he's doing a solid job. It's a 2v2 though. Toxic looking to get that bomb down, tickles it, tries to force from those CTs out into the open, but no one's fully biting on this. Neelan now knows it was a fake. Enough time has elapsed. He's peering into A main. Psycho gonna get the first kill, but now his position is known. 10 HP remains. Next bullet may seal this one up. HE headed towards heaven. Not gonna get the kill, however. And now Neelan changes his angle of aggression as Psycho drops down to try and retrieve the bomb. Time is good enough for Psycho to pick this up and potentially event dive. He could still take this to the B site. He could still play some mind games. He's jumping on top of the hut as it stands. Now, Neelan doesn't actually need to peek this until he hears the bomb get tickled again. Especially as he's pretty low HP, he may not feel comfortable to go for this. So as much as Psycho is trying to play the mind games, he's actually playing into Neelan's wheelhouse. You could see why he was doing it. You could see the cogs turning in his head. It just backfired.
That's a great recovery. Losing the 5 versus 3 situation, a lower bomb site in the previous round is always going to make you worry a little bit, but to be able to come back and win that round like that, that's exactly what the doctor ordered. Though it came really costly, right? I mean, to only survive with 1 player, definitely not the ideal way of winning the round, but at least they have, and now they have a chance to get a clean one here. So there's not as much to work with for Crazy in this round.
Indeed, and there's much less to follow it up as well, should they be unsuccessful. They are pretty much down to their last pennies, and It's going to be Kios starting things off with the M4. Traded back, a flashed up Toxic, a blind Toxic, but now Psycho delivers the fatal shot onto Norbert, who once again stands his ground for the 1 kill. It always seems like he's successful. It's just about the repeats that don't always work for him. Tagged down to 10 HP is DemQQ. And now the main peak, that's one hell of a headshot from Psycho. And now an incendiary toss down as well to the backside of the site forces the 2 Ts to scramble and relocate. DemQQ waiting and anticipating those peaks. He's already picked up one. Now, unbeknownst to Mo, if he whips out the M4 or the sidearm, he's got a much better chance of clutching this. Both players are very low. That smoke doesn't really do too much. They're going to clump together. It's very well played from Crazy. And Syman Gaming have been put down a peg or two, and that's now their turn for the economy to drop off the edge of a cliff.
The last 4 rounds in a row have been back and forth, and so both teams are really, really fragile, but it's Syman on the CT side, the more expensive side, that's suffering the more severe repercussions of it all. And they actually do force up everything that they can into this round, knowing that their money is at a kind of a point where they weren't going to be able to full buy for a couple of rounds anyway, so you might as well try to put a little bit of something together into this one, then full save next if this doesn't work, or if you have the ability, you know, if you lose a couple of players, save the other 3 guns and try it again next round type deal. So trying to leave themselves a couple of options. Crazy though, big opportunity here to tie up the game very quickly from their T-side nuke. And that would be big. That would give them a chance to force a 3rd map. Again, this is an elimination best of 3. Loser will be out of this and basically not picking up any points in the RMR system.
Sensei with the insta headshot onto Norbert, who peeked out a little bit too far. Now Sergis through the smoke onto Kios, much better, getting those clean kills where it really counts and opening up A for business. Psycho is going to be able to get that bomb down relatively comfortably. There's going to be no engage from Syman Gaming, who are looking to save and hold on to these weapons. It's not as if there's many options for them should they lose these guns, and it's mainly just pistols with some Kevlar. But yeah, I mean, Syman, after a pretty hot start, have now been brought back to earth with a bit of a bang. Seems they will be successful in saving the guns, and Crazy now going to be making a move over towards the T-spawn. They've guessed incorrectly. Their economy is building up nicely. Syman, in the meanwhile, have lost Cade. He did take a player with him in the process, but no buys behind the Scout and the Deagle, and no sidearm that realistically Mo can give to the rest of his teammates. So we're looking at a very bare bones buy from Syman Gaming, and more than likely Crazy going to equalize us to 4-4. Mo looking for that early pick, gets the tag onto DemQQ. He drops the 29. Not quite the headshot that he was hoping for. At least softening up DemQQ into those USP ranges, and of course the Deagle on top of it. There's also a HE for Kios. So they're going to trade weapons. DemQQ now picking up the UMP instead. He has been deemed expendable. One of the players that were highlighted on the desk for being someone that really needs to step up the market. It's another tag on the Scout. A HE behind it. Kios now with that USP. There's 3 players strong in ramp. Make it 4, but a brisk switch around from Sensei to pick up both frags. Now Mo comes back in. It's a 2v3. And not too far off, landing the Scout shots onto Sensei, who is trying to get out of there, headed towards the A side. Now, it still may go the way of Crazy, but considering the lack of firepower and really anything to play with, this is already closer than we would have ever expected. And now it's a 2v1 with DemQQ on 29 HP, and the timing could very well work against him if he tries to take the bomb down into vents towards the B side, or potentially just check outside first.
Yeah, you're right. It all is going to come down to timing, isn't it? And there it is, the one tap with the USP from Kios. Somehow, someway, they've pulled that off. And I think a lot of it did come down to that boost that they had inside ramp. I mean, it caused Crazy to have to pay so much attention to it that it really opened up Mo's Scout from the headshot box to be able to come out and do a lot of damage. So tip your hat to Syman there, just pulling one out of the hat, basically. Definitely going to put a damper on things for CR4ZY. Mo's going to have an AWP now, full rifles and utility for the CT side.
Yeah, pretty chill start and opening from CR4ZY, who are tossing in the Molotovs and flashes towards huts. Not looking to push behind it necessarily, but now they're going to be picking up the pace. Norbert trading out alongside DemQQ, and it's more kills going the way of Syman Gaming. After stealing away the previous round with USPs, a Scout and a Deagle, they're hungry to really stamp their authority and make their mark felt here on Nuke. Their CT side is going from strength to strength, and DemQQ now 1v3, rapid headshot delivered, down to 16, make that 0 as Cade will find him from behind, pushing up on vents. They pick up the AWP, they pick up an AK, they bolster that save, and now CR4ZY have the pretty arduous task of having to tap out and just getting some deagles and not much else.
Yeah, this is a big opportunity for Syman to build up that big CT lead that you're going to want on Nuke, especially for a team like Syman, who have historically not done so well on this map. Being able to get an early lead is exactly what you would need to kind of remedy the past results and be able to put one up here and now. And so far, so good this round here as they're cleaning up these frags outside. KDO finding one over towards ramp as well. So all is as it should be.
Fergus may get the drop onto the MP9 wielding Norbert, and it looks scrappy, but it is a Glock against armor. It is an absolutely brutal trade. Anyone that's played CS will tell you it's not really a trade you're often going to win. Probably should have had the kill, honestly, Dust, but it's not the end of the world. 7-3, though, going to be the score. CR4ZY coming back in with AKs, not going to have enough for an AWP, which is pretty significant for Nuke. A lot of AWPers will like to pick it up outside.
Another thing to check off the list, Vince, a team ace. Everyone got one frag there for Syman.
Always good news for a team. Builds up that confidence nicely. 2 players and 11 kills, Mo and Neelan.
Whoa.
And Psycho, there's the spray onto Mo. Speaking of the man, he went a bit too aggressively through Hut and did pay the ultimate price.
Yeah, he was kind of stuck in no man's land there. Really no way to retreat and missed his shot. And as you said, he had to pay the piper. Outside smokes being lined up here by CR4ZY. But they're not going to be really using them. They might have one player kind of lurking. They're trying to get back into the inner side, and they do trade 2 for 1 on some aggression through Squeaky Door. So they have a big advantage now rolling into this upper bomb site.
Entries on point, flicks on point. DemQQ after the frag is going to have his teammate Sensei getting the plant down. And Cade, who tries the lurk round through ramp, has been finalized by Psycho's AK, who now takes the kill lead on 12. Additionally, he's on 103 ADR. The only player higher is Mo on 118.
Big round here. A chance for Syman to hold CR4ZY off. A chance for CR4ZY to get a pretty decent T-side going here. Both economies are fragile, but certainly Syman's is the one that's worse for wear. The one that could be more punished. With the victory here from CR4ZY. Guarantees them 2 rounds, essentially, if they can find this one here and now.
Conga line of T's waiting outside of ramp. That trade 1 for 1. I thought for a moment maybe Cade was going to line them up. Molotov into Elben. Mo can stay in position with the AWP. He's waiting for a wide peek, not coming in. Also takes a little bit of damage as the molly spreads to his toes. 32 health, pardon me, has been lost as a result of that. And now CR4ZY are fully submerging and committing to the B site. The spray is connecting at the end, but not enough to yield the kill. And another tag comes into Sensei, who's alive still on 19 HP. And that is going to be a costly mistake, although the grenade down onto the double doors, not only exploding the avenue of aggression, but also exploding DemQQ. And this is such a clean retake. No loss of life. The only 2 frags that came in before that 4v4 were well and truly before the bomb plant. And now Syman Gaming, with 4 players strong, going to trade up to some AK-47s and take an 8-4 lead. This is a very solid CT half.
It really has been, no doubt about that. I think the biggest thing about it is how low their economy was to pull that off, basically bailed them out.
Now, a buy for Crazy now. Galil, 3 AKs and an AWP. Sensei, once again, dishing in for it, but he's had a bit of an off game. 5 kills, 11 deaths. Nowhere near the layers of impact that you're expecting to see from your primary AWPer. We saw more aggression. We saw more impact earlier today. Understandably, it's getting late for these guys. Understandably, maybe some of that performance is going to dip a little bit. But this is not the time for Crazy. They need everyone firing on all cylinders. They discussed this on the desk. It's going to have to be a collective effort from Crazy if they're going to pull this back, especially being the lesser experienced team. You have veterans like Mo on the other side. They've been here, done that, got the T-shot multiple times. He's a major winner, for God's sake. And now DemQQ is going to punish that aggression from Norbert. Kioz, undeterred, still goes in. And that is a play that you're probably not expecting if you're Crazy. That could catch them off guard later in the round.
Yeah, it certainly could. But in the meantime, Crazy are getting so much territory towards outside and towards heaven. Kios actually even had to retreat just because he knew what threat was being imposed on that heaven position. Does put the incendiary out to slow it down just a bit. Nealon gets a good little angle here by Tetris. DemQQ, though, is going to be able to blindside Kios, who is just so focused on heaven. Sergey catches the flank at heaven from KDO. Sergey continues to wreak havoc. It's all on Mo now, 1v2. Oh, he's been spotted and dinked.
Yeah, spotted and dinked will be the white flag being raised high from Mo. He wants to call a truce. Or maybe not. Maybe he wants to snake his way in after all. He is positioning himself towards the CT spawn for a potential save. So it seems to me that he is calling it a day on this round. Makes sense. The economy's not in any great shape. He may get caught on the backside, and indeed he does. Sergey just had a quick look, finds him, frags him. Crazy with a 5th, and a likely eco on the horizon for Syman Gaming.
Yeah, saving for last certainly does make some sense. Maybe you get some P250s or something like that and go for some type of aggressive push, or maybe you nade stack outside. I mean, I don't know. There's just a couple of options out there, but they actually still get an AWP on Mo. They don't spend on anyone else, though, really. So trying to go for like some type of hero type buy setup, but still able to full buy next round, except for Mo. He'll be the one guy who won't really be able to afford anything.
Nades out onto A site again. As you said, Mo, investment. Everybody else, by and large, tapping out. This is a lot of pressure on Mo's shoulders to deliver. He is playing on ramp, by and large, alone, anticipating this push down onto B. Can Kioz stall? He does land a headshot, but that's all. Nealon elsewhere with the deagle, rattles the head, and now Toxic has been tagged down but not killed, and that's a big mistake. If that kill went clean, it should have been Syman Gaming wrapping this up. It may still go their way. Nealon pushing downstairs with the deagle is having some success, and Psycho gets tagged down to 37, but is still alive to tell the tale. Both players now with AWPs. They've taken the AWP from Sensei's hands and are using it against Crazy. Both players are low enough, though, to be in pistol range. And now DemQQ is waiting for that push. He's gift wrapped it. And Nobert completely bites down on that position. Smoke onto right side of ramp, flash onto left side, lands in the eyes of Mo, who's about to be Molotoved off as well. And he's going to have to bide his time if he wants to go in for this.
They've done so well with their utility on both of these doorways to keep stopping Mo from being able to keep an eye on that bomb. And now they've been able to collect it, plant it, and put Mo in a very difficult 1 versus 2. I think he realizes it's not worth it. He was the one guy who spent a lot of money and wasn't going to have money to spend in the next round. So he will keep that AWP carried over into the next, and everyone else should be able to full buy. So we'll be round number 6 for Crazy. They had to fight tooth and nail for it, though. That was definitely up in the air for quite a while, up until just those last couple of kills. So Crazy, move to 6. One more round left to go here in the first half.
Alongside Mo's save, as you did touch on, is going to be a full purchase coming across the board. Mo can also afford a bit of armor and some utility, so a worthwhile save. Additionally, they have hurt the economy from Crazy a little bit, but they're still going to be able to replenish, and because it's last round, who cares? We're not going to have to worry about any of these players being below $1,000. It's all in on this round, and it's been a very close one. It started anything but close in favor of Syman, and then Crazy started to edge their way back in. An important round that could see Syman take a 9-6 lead. CSGO having some shots speculatively outside, and now the aggression out with a smoke peek from Toxic, and Neelan is sent packing. He is top fragging on the server, so that's a huge kill to pick up early on in round 15.
Indeed it is. A chance to push Crazy to that 7th round to keep this half as close as possible, to have quite the recovery after a very cold start where they were at one point down 4-1. After that it was 7-3. So, I mean, they were playing from well behind, and now they're really closing the gap. But Syman and company trying to see if they can't just hold them off a little bit more, try to at least get that 9th round. They may be denied double digits, but they still want to get as much as they can out of this defense, especially on a map that they're weak on usually.
Good entries one more time onto A side. Cade is forced to stay behind that Molotov. Got to be frustrating. That grenade's going to do nothing really to Sensei other than just tag him a little bit. The Molotov a little bit more useful, but now there's a smoke to push through, and it was easy pickings for CSGO. And Crazy do end the half with 4 of the last 5 rounds and take it 8-7. That's a really solid half, all things considered.
Yeah, really well played to keep their tournament life on the line. Remember, it was Syman taking Inferno, so they're already 1 map to the good. Loser of this series is eliminated from the tournament. So yeah, as you said, those last 4 or 5 rounds really doing wonders for Crazy. This pistol round becomes important to tell who's going to get off to a good start to kick things off here and get that early lead as we transition into the final stages of Nuke. Outside push here from Syman. It wasn't really spotted despite there not being a smoke wall, by the way.
Neelan's making a lot of noise in vent additionally, so surely this call has come out. DemQQ moving into position with his USP. Good headshots put down range, and he's still alive with full HP on top of that. This is looking like it's going to collapse for Syman. Any second now, all kill's going to come in, and there you have it. Neelan, who was in vents last scene, is at least going to get the drop onto Psycho and get the kill off the back of that, but he's out of ammunition, out of position, and out of health. Crazy ties up at 8-8.
I'm doing all the right things here recently, Vince, to force us onto that 3rd map, which I believe would be Train.
Correct. It would be Train. And it's full Glocks. So they didn't get a bomb plant. They have no intention of investing whatsoever. They can't get Galils, none of that good stuff. Not a single penny invested into this round. Bomb gets dropped. Aggression on the side of Crazy. And bomb control. All of the pieces coming into place. There is a dink, but it's from a Glock. Oh, what the hell? Neelan and Norbert both get kills. This is actually going to be fairly costly on Crazy, a round that really shouldn't have got any frags from it. There's the jumping spray, and DemQQ, it gets himself another one. Another team ace as well. Everyone got a kill on the side of Crazy at least.
DemQQ.
Not bad.
Yeah, not my best work, but anything else is like that comes to mind as inappropriate for stream.
Story of my life, really.
Except for the no majors clubs, like the only place I feel safe.
So a hefty investment on both teams. The superior firepower is arguable. You've got the AWP on the hands of Sensei, but a FAMAS. Meanwhile, full AK-47s and a healthy dosage of grenades on Syman's. Pretty even across the board. What they do with it, though, is going to be very telling as to how this half and potentially best of three is finishing, I should say. And Syman actually behind for the first time in this entire map. So that is an important distinction to make. They've constantly been trailing Crazy, and now they're in the lead.
And they're on the CT side of Nuke. A map that Syman have repeatedly shown struggles on. And so, gotta wonder if their T side's gonna be up to snuff to actually be able to bring this one back to their side. Especially on a round like this where they have low utility. They are trying to take into lower via ramp. They have ramp room control, but Sergey is still holding them off at the pass, and Sensei is able to catch one as well from lockers. So Syman really getting held up here, and they're running out of time.
Sergey's M4, solid hold from him in Psycho, and Syman didn't really offer anything in this round of note. It was very basic, and they have been punished. They have been pushed around. Crazy don't lose a single player. And that is really the dream scenario for Crazy starting off their CT side. I mean, that's really propelled them one giant leap towards a third map.
Yeah, both teams getting a 3-0 start on their CT side. It propelled Syman to a 7-3 lead there for a bit. We'll see what Crazy's able to do with theirs. As again, they are the one on the ropes. They need this map win to stay alive in this tournament. And on this anti-eco, so far doing a pretty good job. Already found one killer on the Norbert. And there's another onto Kios.
More of the same from Crazy. Syman Gaming running into a brick wall. And of course, it doesn't budge an inch. Sensei with the AWP, though, going to look to try and sledgehammer through Syman Gaming, who have a bit of a glass attack, it would seem. Shatters on impact. And Mo and Cade with their pistols. Try as they may not get a single kill for their troubles, especially as now Sensei is joining the roster, bolstering up the ramp defense. Sergey's was pretty low. Here comes the flank. Here comes an 11th round. Crazy are just starting to ball out of control. That is 2 rounds in a row now, Dust, that they've gone flawless. That's going to do the world of good to their money.
Yeah, they are certainly looking pretty when it comes to cash. There's no doubt about that. Meanwhile, Syman's basically on a buy-save rotation unless they can win a couple in a row. Which really puts Crazy in a position to be well out in front and forcing us that third map of Train.
Nealon goes down. The aggression from Crazy. Oh, Psycho living up to his name. And the bloodlust descends. He just frags out and then escapes to the shadows of A hit and run of the highest magnitude, and Syman Gaming have no idea how to retort, how to do anything in retaliation. Like, everything they've tried, Dust, they've just been destroyed and dismantled.
Yeah, it's hard for me to see a way that they win around based on how they're playing so far. It just doesn't seem like they feel comfortable whatsoever in this situation. And it's likely the result of being a newer team that has a brand new fifth, basically, whose core even hasn't been together for only a few months. Their map pool's probably not that fleshed out, which Tom already kind of talked about a bit on the desk about kind of, you know, Vertigo and Nuke being weaknesses for the team and having to decide between the two on which one the first ban. And kind of sometimes getting away with the fact that a lot of other teams also don't want to play Vertigo and will ban it, and so they get the opportunity to ban Nuke, but in this situation that wasn't the case. They weren't able to do that.
Another question for me, Dust, is do they, well, that's a horrible Molotov, first off, but do they even get a single T round? At this point, I'm just assuming that Crazy walk away with this game and make it theirs. Does Syman even get a round?
Yeah. I mean, luckily, Syman, they have Train up next, and it's a map they've been really good on. That map alongside Inferno have been their best 2 maps so far with the core 4 of this team. So, I mean, that's like one thing they have to look at. Obviously, they would rather not have to worry about playing that map. I'm sure they'd love to get this thing over 2-0. But at least they do have that as a bit of a safety net, whereas Crazy, again, we don't really know too much about them in their Train, other than the fact they were able to pull the upset earlier today over on 4s on Train. They definitely looked fairly comfortable on the map. Had a very explosive play style that was effective. So certainly they could give Syman a run for their money, despite the fact that Syman would be way more comfortable on Train than Nuke, I would imagine, just based on their previous results. But yeah, their Nuke has been real rough. Definitely don't seem to have much cohesion or their wits about them in any kind of way.
Nealon maneuvering his way out with the rest of the troops onto a lobby. They've tried aggression outside. They've tried aggression onto A. Nothing's really worked out for them. Grenade out into lobby. Just chipping Nealon down to 82. Mo trying to take some advantages outside, but you can see the vast difference in how most teams today have occupied the T side, being very outside heavy, whereas Syman are much more content to sit in lobby and effectively wait it out and try and see if some aggression comes in. The thing is, though, Crazy are just having such a good read of this. 3 rounds in a row that have gone flawless. They don't need to take risks. It's been working out for them.
Yeah, I mean, you need to be able to establish outside control. That's basically like mid control on other maps. It needs to be a weapon in your arsenal. Even if you don't use it very often, you have to have it. You have to force teams to respect your outside cross threat. And also your ability to pressure mini and pressure heaven from outside. And I mean, so much comes off the foundation of having that outside smoke wall and using it effectively. And this round, they do get it out, and they actually do get the opening op pick. So that is certainly a step in the right direction for Syman, who have yet to win a T round. This is maybe their chance, and there's another big entry onto Dim QQ. So a 5-on-3 now in front of them. If they're ever going to win a round on the T side, it has to be this one. You got to be closing around like this.
Time is getting low. It just takes one trade to go the way of Crazy, and things get very, very dodgy. There's still a player in lobby. Toxic is making moves towards the hut, but decides better of it, backs away slightly. And now Nealon is being perched up. Sergey's downstairs. Does Syman have too much in terms of retaliation to deal with? I don't think so. It seems like Crazy are playing this one very, very passively. I don't necessarily blame them. We know the CT economy can quickly get away from you. So sure, you're absolutely swimming in cash, but things 2, 3, 4 rounds down the line can be very different. So don't throw these guns away. You have 2 AKs, you have an AWP, it's worth holding on to, and Syman still will have a 3-round deficit come the end of this round.
So finally, Syman have struck gold here on the T side. And they've done so flawlessly, is the other really cool thing about it, which means their economy can actually build up a little bit. And so that gets them within 3 of tying this back up. Apparently we have a tech issue again. So not sure how long it's going to take to fix up. Apparently one of the players is having some loss issues.
Yeah, again, an elimination match. The last thing you want to be doing is trying to play through this and having loss or ping issues or any of that stuff. So understandably, they're going to take a bit of time here and try and fix it. As you said, though, Dust, these are really the tech issues that can have any kind of time frame on how long they're going to take to remedy. It could be a couple of seconds. It could be like 10 minutes plus. So fingers crossed it's going to be the latter rather than the former.
That would be nice.
I mean, I'm not really thinking of our perspectives here, honestly. I'm thinking more of the players because, you know, these guys have been playing their hearts out over the last day. well, longer than that if you think of the rosters put together. And there's a lot on the line here. You know, you've got a potential spot in the major, and every single journey starts with a step. It starts with a small little incursion, and this is that moment for these players. So will either of these teams make the major? To be honest, probably not. But there's definitely a chance that they can get themselves far in this tournament and potentially, you know, turn some heads, maybe even cause some upsets along the way. And the fact is that one of these teams is a map away from elimination, potentially 7 rounds away from elimination if Crazy do let this one slip from this position. It doesn't look likely considering how rough this T-half has been from Syman, but we've had crazier comebacks just today in this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, they finally at least got their outside smoke wall established in the previous round and were able to win a flawless round at that. So, I mean, that's one positive sign, I guess you could say, but there's also been plenty of evidence of struggle. So to have confidence that they can actually win out from this point or go toe-to-toe with Crazy enough to be able to pull out ahead is definitely something hard to bet on or have any real confidence in, but you never know.
Seems the issues have been remedied and fixed, and we are ready to go back into the matchup. 9-12, favoring Crazy. If you have just joined us, it is 1-0. Syman won their choice of Inferno. And if we need it, if Crazy can pull the trigger and convert from this point, then Train will be our last stop of today's proceedings. Out of 12 maps, we have got 10, I believe, so far. And potentially 11 coming up. So it's been a jam-packed day full of Counter-Strike. We have more CS tomorrow as well, over 2 streams. So plenty to satiate that hunger, if you still have any left. Free pickings for Sensei. No flashes, nothing to precede that peak. And he will not miss that shot.
Big kill to get for Crazy to put Syman's comeback effort to a screeching halt before it even gets started. Syman trying to do their best to clear out some of these angles, smoke off Mini, try to flash their way out to his upper bomb site still. Maybe there is still some hope for them to find some entries, or maybe the vent drop is going to be the case instead. Indeed, it does seem like they are trying to go for that lower side, and they are going to make their way in and get the plant. No ifs, ands, or buts about that, but can they hold off the retake a man down? That's the real question now.
I mean, it's definitely doable. B site's not an easy site to retake, especially when you've got post-plant positions locked in. But Cade going down without any fight is going to definitely put it into an awkward position. Sensei with 1, going to get 2 as well. Beautiful plays from him. And now the last player is Neil and push at the black boxes. There's 3 players edging their way towards him. Never really had a hope. He needed one of his teammates to stay alive. And Sensei getting 2 from ramp was vital. Cade should be getting at least a kill from ramp. I believe he had the drop on a couple of players as well, so that's really not good enough.
Yeah, it's a tough pill to swallow when you get full site control, get the bomb down. Yeah, you were down a man, but you still had plenty of players to be holding and just don't come up with it in the end. At least the plant allows them to still get a full buy in this round. But if this doesn't work out, Crazy should pretty much be skating to victory in the 3rd map. And they've shown ability on Train. So despite the fact that Syman have a pretty decent Train record and are more comfortable there, it's not Crazy or any slouches on Train. It's no guarantee for them. And they've already lost 1 player into this round as well to add on top of it. So Crazy 1 step closer to 14.
Yeah, just a case of being a little bit too lethargic with the push on Squeaky. It was only Norbert that pushed out there by himself, and there was a lot of emphasis and attention being shown in his direction after that Inferno performance, where he just had played a lights out game, dropping just shy of 30 kills over a 1.8 rating. I mean, simply put, he's been almost silent in this game. 9 kills, 54 ADR. Negligible impact on this matchup, and silencing him for Crazy has been huge. I mean, there's no doubt that his entries on Inferno really kick-started most of those rounds off. Yeah. He's just been completely absent here.
No, that's definitely a fair point to throw out there. Meanwhile, you're seeing everything that you'd want to see out of Crazy's lineup. I mean, yeah, I guess Toxic hasn't had the best of games, but he hasn't really been called upon, and everyone else has been playing exactly where you'd want him to be. And so when kind of one of the guys who's supposed to be one of your star players goes missing, while meanwhile all the craziest guys are popping off, you're going to be in for a bad time. And part of that's going to be map comfort, I'm sure. Part of it's going to be maybe just fatigue. But either way, something has got to change, or a map 3 is on the horizon. Another technical pause has been caused.
FPS drops, apparently, is the issue. That's a bit easier to fix. Normally, just a restart of the game, or you can actually type like Archon or something in chat. It's an issue with CS. I think many people that play a lot of Faceit in particular have this problem quite a bit. If you change your resolution, it normally fixes it. So they're instantly saying readying up. It's definitely one of the easiest fixes in terms of any tech issues. So,
what about being bad at the game? Is there a fix for that? For me,
I've tried everything, Dust. Nothing's worked for me, mate. So I don't think there's much hope. Feels bad, dude.
Okay.
You have to go for the classic, change your crosshair, change your resolution, change your sensitivity, DPI, like all of that. But at the end of the day, I'm still trash.
Every pro in their Twitch stream, all of those things as well.
Yeah, definitely. Double vent drop hasn't really been punished, but at least the information gathered for Crazy that they know there's going to be a hit momentarily. Norbert gets tagged in midair. Fortunate it was the Deagle and not the AWP from Sensei, but MQQ through the smoke deals with Keon's post plant coming in. Again, a 4v5, bit of deja vu ringing in, and MQQ with the drop on Norbert. Far from ideal kick off to this potential retake scenario. Syman going to be really up against it, and keep in mind the vast amounts of utility that Crazy have here. Does like they are brimming to the full.
The thing is, they're so separated in this post plan. Like, there's no way to play off of each other. Like, I don't even really get the game plan in these post plant scenarios. Like, look at how this look. I mean, they're everywhere, but together. Like, there's no trade capability or baiting off each other. Just anything like that.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's like they want to force the bomb down because they finally got a chance. It almost seems like desperation to me. And there's no forethought to what happens next. Like, yeah, you got the bomb down. That's fine. What do you do with it, though? Like, do you have a plan? Do you have any cohesion? If the answer is no, then maybe just delay it a little bit. It's not like they were down to 10 seconds. Wait till your teammates get into position so you can actually do something with that plan.
Yeah. It's like they're lagging back because they're wanting to cut off rotations, but in reality, they're just spreading out into 1v1 duels that Crazy have been winning time and time again. This time, a little bit more packed up together on this upper sweep, and they are able to get some entries, and things are starting to look a little bit more on the positive end, at least in this round for Syman. But there is still Sensei floating out there. He has been caught, though, so a round does go the way this time. They still need to win 5 more in a row to force overtime, which is a tall order considering that they've only won 2 rounds the entire half and they were 3 rounds apart from each other. So hard to have faith that they can win 5 in a row based on what we've seen so far.
Yeah, I mean, the ridiculous statistic to rattle off here is at one point this was 8-4 in favor of Syman on the CT side. Like, they were cruising. This was almost wrapped up, you know? And yet here we stand at 15-10. As you said, 2 rounds, a measly 2 rounds on their T side, could become 3. That's an important integral pick from Mo outside onto Sensei. So definitely the exchange they were looking for. There's another one. It's looking a little bit better. They're in cruise control now, Syman. Maybe they're going to wake up, but MQQ goes aggressively, gets his second kill. 24 kills to his name now. He had a very slow start, but he's seemingly getting himself into the zone.
Oh, yeah. Definitely can count on him, it seems. At least what we've seen in this tournament thus far. Bomb will go towards lower, but Sergey playing a very fantastic position here behind the silos, and he's going to keep buying time, keep floating around the Sim4. He's still denying this plant, buying more and more time for his teammate to also get into some type of position to assist him. And there it is, the combination of MQQ and Sergey will put the finishing touches on Nuke, and so a third map will be required to determine who is going figuratively home as far as being eliminated from the tournament and who sticks in it for tomorrow.